Now, abusive pricing and buying practices exist within certain business markets and can result in smaller companies going out of business. The National Employers Association of South Africa, or NEASA, is conducting a survey among small, medium and micro enterprises, or SMMEs, to get input on structural, legislative implementation and shortcomings of government. Now, this follows the Department of Trade and Industry and the Competition Commission recently publishing draft regulations in terms of the Competition Act for public comment. Gerhard Papenfus, the Chief Executive of NEASA, is with us this morning to discuss this further. Thanks for coming through. So why do you feel that there needs to be greater protection for small and medium enterprises?
You know what, in some instance we don't need more protection, we just need the shackles to be broken. You know, we're talking about abusive buying and selling practices, and we've pointed out to government that DTI, even before we did our survey, we said to them, you must start at your home front on this regard. There are steel duties implemented, which is giving an advantage to the steel monopoly AMSA. When you import your steel, you pay a 20% duty at the ports. That is while AMSA is an unprofitable institution. They're selling their price between 18 and 27% higher than the world price, and that has made the South African steel market completely uncompetitive. That is a measure to protect a monopoly, and it's costing the downstream their businesses. Businesses are actually closing. There's recently a very big business employing between 600 and 1,000 employees that went out of business. That is just one example because of this practice. So we said to the DTI, start at home. You can change this immediately. There are the Competition Act that excludes bargaining council arrangement from the ambit of the jurisdiction of the Act, and that is because the collective bargaining arrangements in the Labour Relations Act is anti-competitive. It's a cabal. It is simply giving monopolies, big business, the right to control and push small business out of business. Now, this is a thing that the Department of Trade and Industry can immediately implement. They don't have to wait for anything. So what we did after that, we did a survey to ask employers what are the things that's really detrimental to business. And I must just add, you know, when you're an entrepreneur, nothing will stop you. We don't do this to tell people don't do business. We are simply assisting us to make it a bit more easy. We mustn't deter anybody from doing business, because this is what we need in South Africa. Entrepreneurship is the thing that's going to save this place.
So what can government do better in order to try and help SMMEs, but also help grow the economy at the same time?
Well, you know what? In his budget speech in February, the president says, you know, we must do a lot of things to make it easier for business to do business. At that stage, South Africa was number 82 out of 190 countries in terms of ease of business. We are now down to 84. We haven't done anything in the meantime. So we are deteriorating in that area instead of doing something. And if you look at all the points of measurement of the World Bank in this regard, and you measure us against all those things, first of all, the worst one is when we export, getting stuff out through our ports. Through our borders. We're standing 143 out of 190 countries in the world. And it's bureaucrats sitting there making it difficult to get your stuff out and into the country. It can be changed by attitudes and the ease of practices at the border, but somebody has to do it.
But we've been hearing this for the longest time.
That's the thing. It's talking, but government doesn't do it. Sit down. You know, India is busy with 98 the implementation of 98 items to reduce the burden on business. And they've introduced a parliamentary committee, and that's not a committee, that with purpose and tactics and deadlines to make it easy for business. You know what, I've just got to know that South Africa's portion GDP in the sub-Saharan Africa economy is down from 50% in 1994 to 21% now. So we've reduced our influence in Africa. But you know, why this is happening, just in the last year, sub-Saharan Africa has introduced in the 90s, 74 measures to make business easier. We have introduced 2. So we're talking about it. But you know what, a bureaucrat, a government official, when he hears the president says, we need to make it easier for business, he mustn't wait for his minister. He must go to his staff and say, we do it today. Because that's the instruction. When the minister talks or the president talks, go back and do it today. Don't wait for anybody. Is it really like
that in practice?
No, that's the problem. It does not happen in practice. They hear this and then they do absolutely nothing. We've just heard that it costs half of our money going towards the payment of officials' salaries.
But could it be that these bureaucrats are waiting for instruction, waiting for legislative and policy reform that needs to come their way?
But where does it start? Where does it start?
But that's the question. Where does it start?
If the president says, make it easy.
But the president can't just say, make it easy. The president needs to actually get the ball rolling by making sure that as you come down the ladder, everybody does what they need to do in order to effect it.
But you know what? A clever bureaucrat, when he hears the president say, make it easy, he starts making it easy. And he goes to the president via his minister with practical ideas. A politician never have practical ideas. And we understand that. I mean, you can't go into a department and all of a sudden you understand all the workings of a government department. The bureaucrats know how it works. So when a minister says, you know, Trump has said in America, if you want to introduce one more regulation, you must drop another 10. So when you want one more, show me which other 10 we can. And he didn't say which 10, he says you find them. Now,
I tell you what,
yes,
we're unfortunately out of time, but I hope that we will have more time at any given point to discuss this further, because I think what you are saying is important, because we're always told that entrepreneurs and small, micro and medium enterprises are actually the lifeblood of any economy. So if we agree to that and we believe that to be true, then we need to practically make sure that things do happen in order to assist and facilitate easier access to doing business. But thanks to Gerhard Papenfus, the Chief Executive of NEASA, talking to us about why SMMEs in South Africa need to be protected from abusive pricing and buying practices.